Hey guys, it's Wednesday. I'm Lawrence Presman. You're watching Puck Time, and it's my privilege to host this show. Andrew McInnis and Alex B. Smith joining us today. There's 13 hockey games on the card for tonight. Excited to discuss all of them. We'll be taking apart 4 in great detail, and then we'll get to the last minute of play. Let's bring in the guests and get this thing underway. Andrew, what are you doing for American Thanksgiving out in Halifax? But fuck Canada, as they call it.
I think that'd be probably New Brunswick, but yeah, I'm working. I'm doing play-by-play all weekend this weekend, so probably just calling some games and enjoying some time with friends.
You call play-by-play for who?
Local university, Dalhousie University and St. Mary's University. I do hockey, play-by-play, basketball, and I do in-house announcing as well.
Do they pay you?
They do, yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's good. Well, hope you're on your way to become the next Joe Bowen.
Hopefully I can get there one day, Prez. Starting off the universities. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and play-by-play is hard, man. I mean, it takes a lot of prep work, and just getting all the names right is an issue.
That's the biggest thing, man. Once you get the names, you sound way better. I remember when I first started doing it, you're trying to keep up with the play, find out who has the ball, who's going where, who's doing what. And if you don't know the names, you just sound like you don't know what you're doing. Once you get the names down, you get used to the teams in the league, you can sound pretty good. So have you ever done anything like that before, Prez? You ever interest in that stuff?
Dude, I would be a color man. Come on.
Color, yeah.
Which one's the hardest?
Depends on the sport, I guess. I guess probably color, but at the same time, the color guy talks.
No. Which sport is the hardest for play-by-play?
I would say basketball is the hardest as far as, because hockey, it could be a 5-1 game, but it could still be like close, and you know what I mean, a very competitive game, even though it's 5-1. But if you're doing play-by-play for a basketball game and it's a 30-point blowout, very difficult to find anything really productive to talk about.
He's Andrew McInnis. You can find him at sportsmemo.com. Alex B., what's the shirt you're wearing?
I'm wearing a Chicago Wolves jersey today.
Yeah, everybody's familiar with the Chicago Wolves. Lots of Wolves in Chicago and all.
Well, they're the minor league affiliate of the Vegas Golden Knights, so I'm sure there's a lot of people in Vegas that were familiar with that. Garrett Sparks, the goalie who's got called up for Marc-Andre Fleur tonight in the game against Nashville, was just playing for the Wolves 2 nights ago.
Well, there you go. The information provided on Puck Time. Unbelievable stuff. Guys, quick business just to let everybody know again, as a way to give thanks to all of you people for being part of our community. We have dropped all the prices at both Sports Memo and Wager Talk to only $9. Any package at either of those websites, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, are only $9. So make sure to head over and try your favorite handicapper. Boys, we're going to take apart 4 games in detail, and then we'll do the remaining 9 games super quick. Let's start with the Calgary Flames. They're heading into Buffalo tonight. Very similar record. Calgary 11-12, Buffalo 11-10, and it's really a pick'em game. I mean, the Flames are favored -130 with an over and under of 5.5. Calgary won against Philadelphia and then lost in overtime against Pittsburgh, but they did look much better. Huge crisis going on in their locker room with their idiot coach. And I don't know if that really comes into play. I will say this. My guess is that the team wants him fired. What do you think, Alex? Where are you going in this game?
I mean, there was already cries of him, possibly Bill Peters possibly losing his job, the way we've seen them go on the slide. But now with all the things that are going on, the locker room's probably going to rally away from him and just, focus as a team. We've seen things like this happen in other sports where the team just kind of bonds together and say, hey, we're the guys on the ice. We've got to pick up our share and do as much as we can and tune out the distractions here. So I think we might see a focused Calgary team here. Like I said, both these teams have been, losing a lot of games of late. So the edge, I think, slightly would be with Calgary. I think they're going to be a bit more focused here. Where Buffalo, I mean, especially their defense, that was the thing that was keeping them around in a lot of games early in the year, them giving up goals in bunches. So it's a good spot here for the Flames to get things and play some hockey.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like the Flames too here. And and at minus 130, I even like them in regulation at a plus price. Andrew, what do you like?
First of all, that whole situation is just horrible. It's sad to see stuff like that coming out, but I hope it gets handled with properly and they investigate it the way it should be. Both these teams, guys, are having a tough time right now. Calgary 1-7 their last 8. Buffalo 2-10 their last 12. They're both having a real tough time. And shockingly enough, with tough time isn't really coming from defense. It's actually goal production. They haven't been able to find the back of the net. They're just putting up 2-3 goals, getting shut out here and there. And with the talent that they have, it's really tough. I mean, I don't want to get into the whole joke about superstars with you, Prez, but I mean, they do have some guys that are pretty talented on that Calgary team that should be able to score, and they're just not getting it done. I'm actually going to ride the wave here. I'm going to go with the under 5.5 in this one. So tries to play a great defensive game, and I would lean to Calgary as well. The whole handicap for me wouldn't be, surrounding that head coach and trying to, just play as a team. But, a lot of times you look at a West Coast versus an East Coast team playing in the East Coast. You want to try and take a look at that East Coast team. But, Calgary's already played, a lot of teams in the East Coast. They've already settled in. Now they're playing Buffalo. I feel like that shouldn't be a problem of being on the East Coast now. And they're desperate for a solid win. They had that one win against Florida. It was 5-2. But other than that, they've had a horrible last 5 games. Lean to Calgary on the under for me.
Montreal last night, full-on beatdown, 8-1 by Boston, and now Boston on a back-to-back heads over to Ottawa. This is one of those really interesting games, and we see this in hockey a lot. You really want to take Boston here. I mean, you think to yourself, minus 155, basically a pick 'em with Boston in regulation. Maybe arguably the best team in all of hockey playing one of the worst teams in all of hockey. This is going to be an absolute slaughter. Montreal just lost to Boston 8-1. Surely Boston can head across the highway and annihilate this team. Yet we see it. You're in and you're out. Ottawa beat Tampa Bay at home. Detroit has had some big wins this season. This is not the NFL, folks. Boston is going to be in tough tonight. I want to take them, and I'm likely going to throw them in at minus 1.5 into a very small parlay, one that I can afford to lose. But man, everything in my being is telling me stay away from this hockey game. Alex?
If I were to play anything here, it would be the team total over with the Boston Bruins, 3.5. You can find it at plus 105 or plus 110. He said they definitely got their offense rolling back on track, and now they're playing an Ottawa team. They're 9-0-1 in the last 10 games against Ottawa. We've seen them tighten up at times, but for the most part, they're still susceptible to allow 3, 4, 5 goals any given game. So that's the one thing I would be looking at here. If I had to play a side, I would go with Bruins in regulation.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels too obvious. Andrew?
Yeah, I grabbed the minus 150 overnight. I was comfortable with that number. And it's like you said, what you said exactly what I would have said if I was leading up into this game. We all look at this one overnight and think to ourselves, why wouldn't Boston beat the Ottawa Senators? Why wouldn't they keep rolling right now? And like you said, Ottawa has proven they can upset some teams, any given night. But you look at the rosters. You compare those two rosters. It's unbearable. It's unmatchable. You don't really see a chance this Ottawa team line for line can compete against the Boston Bruins. And over time, I've noticed the Boston Bruins are a team that doesn't really let up against bad teams. I mean, certain teams will take their foot off the gas pedal and only show up for their big games. Boston's not like that. They're 9-0 in their last 9 against Ottawa. And look, that was the most embarrassing first period. I've watched against the Montreal Canadiens whatsoever last night, and I'm sure, Prez, you loved hearing about that. But on a serious note, handicapping wise, if I'm liking Boston, and I'm a Boston fan, what I did learn from that game, as much as it pained me as a Habs fan, guys, is that the Boston Bruins just kept on going. That game was over a few minutes into the second period, and they did not care. They kept on going. They shoved that the puck down through the net the whole game. I mean, I think that they scored with 2 minutes to go in the third. I had a buddy that bet the live under 8.5, and he got screwed over because they scored the 2 minutes to go in the game.
That's not what we would call a screwed over. That's what we would call a losing bet.
Oh, exactly. No, I don't.
Hey, Andrew, I just want to talk to you really quickly about something.
Okay.
Alex, I don't know if you remember this, but on the Monday Puck Time show, or the Tuesday or whenever, it all freaking blends to me. You might not even been on the show. Might have been him and Buster. I don't know. But the bottom line is Andrew went to watch a Boston-Minnesota game this past weekend in Boston, and he cheered for Boston. Now, there is no way that you are a real Habs fan, which I appreciate because I don't want you to be one. If you could cheer for Boston, there's simply no excuse. You can't sit there and say, oh, you want to get caught up in the wave of excitement because you're at the home arena of Boston and want to cheer for. No. If I go to Montreal and watch the Habs play Arizona, what team do you think I'm going to cheer for?
Arizona.
If Alex goes and watches the St. Louis Blues play the Maple Leafs in St. Louis, what team do you think he's going to cheer for?
Maple Leafs. Yeah,
what kind of idiot frickin' fan are you?
Prez, if I had your money, I'd fly to Montreal every weekend and watch my team play. I don't have that luxury.
That explains why you cheer for Boston, and you don't have my money because you're 21 years old.
I'm not 21 years old, but
how old are you?
I would go to that city and just be a part of the fan base. Was I absolutely screaming my head off and the whole game cheering for the Bruins? No, but did I want to cheer for the Minnesota Wild? Come on.
What are you talking about? I want to cheer for any single team that plays against Montreal, and you should be cheering for any team that plays against Boston. This is their arch rival. This isn't like Detroit. This isn't even Ottawa or the Leafs. This is literally their arch rival. I don't think there is one single Dallas Cowboy fan that would watch Washington Redskins play the Houston Texans in Washington and be like, well, I'm in Washington. When in Washington, do what Washington people do.
It's like 9. That's different because it's a way smaller season and the
No, man. And Alex, please wait in here.
No, you're. I mean, you can't. I mean, when it's a rivalry like that, it'd be like me cheering for the Red Wings. Like, there's no way unless. And if I have a bet on the Red Wings, that's one thing. But if I'm in Detroit, I probably wouldn't even ever go to Detroit anyway. But if I were, I definitely wouldn't be cheering for the Wings. So there are some limits and boundaries.
Yeah.
Alex, I mean, that rivalry is serious.
Better. If it makes you feel any better, I had the Bruins live at a plus price. So.
Right, and then that made sense from that point to be cheering for.
Yeah, he did it just to justify the fact that he called himself in the first period cheering for the black and gold.
Yeah, but I will give him credit because I saw him where he tweeted out. He did jump on that at the right time and ended up cashing that ticket. So, kudos to you, Andrew, for cashing that because that was a perfect spot and a perfect price to grab.
Yeah, I've never bet on Montreal in my life. Detroit plus 190. I don't want to hear about it, Andrew.
I'll get to you at the end of the show.
Yeah. Somebody complimented you on your humility yesterday. Detroit hosting Toronto plus 190.
You know why?
I don't want to hear from you. The Leafs minus 220. Leafs have had 2 home practices, and I think it's very important. Normally we don't discuss practices, but Sheldon Keefe has just taken over the team. He finally got them home, finally got them practicing a new system. Lots of real bad shit coming out about Babcock. A guy seems to have been a dick. I think Toronto is just going to annihilate this team tonight. This is not a good spot for Detroit. I think Toronto's going to go on a run. I like Toronto in regulation. I like Toronto minus 1.5, and I do even like the over. Alex?
Yeah, full game over, team total over with Toronto.
Yeah.
This screams like a runaway spot. I mean, Detroit's been giving up goals They gave up only 2 goals in their last game. That was the first time they've given up less than 3 in the previous 8 games. So I expect to see a lot of offense from Toronto tonight.
Andrew?
Honestly, I didn't even know the Leafs were going to keep playing. I thought they already had their Stanley Cup parade after they beat Arizona. I thought the season was over.
Is that how you're going to get me
Arizona
back? Is that your strategy of pissing on me?
No, I had that planned yesterday night. Honestly, I just thought the season was over. They beat the Arizona Coyotes, and that's all she wrote. Big game against the Arizona Coyotes.
Why, they didn't beat Colorado right? They didn't beat Colorado right after. You're just going to ignore the Colorado game? Or maybe you were in Colorado cheering for them.
The parade started after Arizona's game.
What?
You know what I mean? The parade already started after the Arizona game. The Leafs already won the cup.
Do you feel better about yourself right now?
That's just what I heard, though. People were talking about how.
Are you going to give our listeners your opinion on this game or not? Because I can move on if you want.
I will. Well, look, I agree. On a serious note, I agree. Just like Prez, this is a perfect schedule. Obviously Colorado was a good win. Just like Prez just said, Colorado was a good win. But playing Arizona as your first game with the new head coach was a perfect spot for them. I was on them there. And now you got Detroit, another perfect spot. Get them in regulation. Get them puck line. You see the way that they're looking in practice. I don't usually watch these drills from practice or all that kind of stuff. But I took a look at some of the stuff they were doing. And it's more comfortability drills. It's not like they're getting bag skated or anything like that. It feels like Sheldon Keefe is actually working to the players' strengths, other than actually trying to make them do stuff they're not comfortable doing, like Babcock did. He really trusts the players. He wants to work with the players that they have. You look at the playoffs last year. The Boston Bruins were playing their top line guys when they should have been, and Mike Babcock had third and fourth line guys out there in crunch time. I guarantee you Sheldon Keefe won't make that same mistake, and I really feel like he's going to be a really big key for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. I think it's easy to say it right now, but I definitely feel like his mindset, the fact that he's a lot fresher into the league, obviously, there's still quite a few young guys in the Leafs. I think he's a perfect fit.
I agree.
I think the players respect him, but he also respects the players. He doesn't feel like he's above them, which is actually a great relationship for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So this is a good spot for the Leafs to kind of get in here. Like I said, the Colorado Avalanche game was a good, solid win. Nice to see the Leafs beat Nazem Kadri and their former player. But, I think that looking at Arizona and then looking at Detroit, this is a kind of a good way for the Leafs to build some momentum here.
And that they will do. I love this game, Alex. Tampa Bay, -160 hosting St. Louis. And let me tell you my quick take on this. Look, I think Tampa Bay is the best team in hockey. Their record does not suggest it's the best team in hockey, but we're only 25 games into the season. When all's said and done, this team is going to be the best team in hockey. I think St. Louis is really, really good. And as the Stanley Cup champions, I think what we've seen with Tampa Bay is just a bit more pacing this year, where instead of going out and setting records, beating every team every night and then losing in the first round, I think they're really pacing themselves a little differently. It's commonly referred to as pace management. But I think ultimately they're going to be up when they play the best teams in the league. And now they're playing one of the best teams in the league. I think Tampa Bay is going to come out firing tonight. -160, not good for me. I actually like them at -1.5. I think Tampa Bay is going to lay the full-on smackdown on this team. Camel clutch, DDT, figure four reversal, suplex off the top rope.
I love it, Prez. You're fired up.
Dude, this game's going to be fun. I think Tampa Bay is going to win this game. 5-1 type number. Alex?
I don't think it's going to be as exciting as you're hyping it up to be. I think Tampa Bay wins this game. But, like I said, St. Louis will be, a bit amped up for this game as well, because these are two quality teams. And St. Louis needs to kind of shift the momentum around. They had back-to-back losses against their rival in Nashville. But the Tampa's, like you said, they're on a good roll right now, getting goals in bunches, 15 goals in the last 3 games, only allowing 2 goals in each of those 3 contests. This is a good spot. And Tampa Bay is a team that's had to kind of manage and pace themselves as well, because we saw them, they were completely dominant all, regular season long last year, and they burned themselves out. So they have to kind of, both these teams can kind of learn from each other in a sense of, like I said, pacing themselves. This is the American Thanksgiving break, so it's a lot of media hype about this is the time where teams are going to separate themselves and become playoff contenders, or end up being teams just hoping for a lottery pick down the road. So this should be a firm contest, but I do like Tampa Bay. I would take them here in regulation.
Mr. McInnis, would you like to insult the Leafs somehow in the middle of this?
No. St. Louis, it's surprisingly to me when I look at this game, I realize that they actually have a good record against Tampa Bay. They're 9-3 in their last 12 against Tampa Bay, including back on the 19th of this month. They beat Tampa Bay 3-1. And I'm expecting an offensive outburst just like yourself. I feel like Tampa Bay this year, the difference has been is not only are they, obviously they had a deep team last year, but I feel like they have a lot quicker of shifts this year, and they're utilizing more guys for different roles. They're more physical sometimes this year. They're not just carrying the puck in; they're dumping it in deep, trying to make things happen down low. They're trying to explore different parts of their game, because as we found out last year, come playoff time, it's a whole different type of hockey. So like you, I'm not worried about their record right now. I still feel like they're a great team, and this is a Tampa Bay team 7-3 in their last 10. Meanwhile, St. Louis is 5-5. This is a good opportunity here for Tampa Bay to come in here and get the job done. And that price is unbelievable for the puck line. I honestly wouldn't talk anybody out of the money line, but when you can look at regulations like we can these days and puck lines with the amount of marginal victories we're seeing, you might as well go with the puck line or the regulations. So, Tampa Bay at home especially as well. Like you said, they get up for big games, and this is a rapid revenge spot. They played this team earlier in the month, and they put up 1 goal. How often did the Tampa Bay Lightning score 1 goal? Not very often. This is a good chance to come right back at it.
Almost as often as a fan of a team cheers for the rivalry team, but not as often, because nobody does it. Anyway, 2 quick things. I'm not listening to you, Andrew. 2 quick things to talk about, and then we'll get to the last minute of play. So the first thing is, betting is a funny thing. I went 2-0 on Saturday night, passed on Sunday, came back on Monday night with a 5% play on the New York Islanders and lost it. Why am I saying this? Well, I have a 3-pack up tonight, and one thing we know, and Alex and Andrew, you guys are quite new to this handicapping thing, but you've probably already noticed it. When you need a team to win, when you have more sales on a play than you normally have, Murphy gets in the way and you lose. But the converse of that is the next day you sweep. And you sit there on the couch watching your sweep thinking, I would trade all 3 of these wins tonight for that New York Islander win on Monday. So what is my message? I'm sweeping tonight, people. Next, I want to talk about is Andrew had a good idea. And Andrew's idea was we should pose a question to our viewership to get them to comment on our YouTube channel to make it more interactive. So here is my question to all of you. Who is the team that you hate the most based on them being the rival of your favorite team? And if you went to that stadium, would you actually cheer for your team's number 1 rival? That's the question. Clearly we know Andrew's answer. You both know Alex and my answer. Please tell us yours. It's time for the last minute of play. New York Rangers, plus 137 against Carolina, over and under 6.5. I like the under in this game. Alex?
Yeah, it's another gift from the bookmakers here. New York has beat Carolina 16 of the last 17 times at Madison Square Garden, 9 of the last 12 times overall. Take the plus money with the New York tonight.
Andrew?
I like it as well. It's a good price for New York. Some underdogs have to hit on this card, and this is definitely one that's going to go go ahead and cash. I look at New York recently.
Yeah, they're playing
They've been
great.
involved in some really interesting games. Look at their game against Montreal. They came back. It sucked at the half.
Well, listen, they're playing Montreal, dude. I mean, we throw those games out the door.
Well, same thing again. No, but still, it's heart. It's the ability to come back when you're down. That's all I care about. They lose 4-1 to Ottawa. The next two games, they show up. They prove they give a shit, and they get the job done. Carolina's a team that I still don't trust to get consistent wins against good teams. And, New York Rangers, I tell you guys every time we talk about New York Rangers, I don't have a good read on this team. One thing I know is if I can get them at a good price as an underdog, I'm going to bet them. Yeah. I will never bet the Rangers as a favorite.
Okay.
This is a good spot here.
So, to summarize, Alex, Andrew doesn't have a good read on this team, but will never bet them as a favorite and always on as an underdog. Sounds like you have a good read on this team, genius. Pittsburgh minus 165 against Vancouver. Total is 6. I lean on the under in this game, but I can't take a side, and I'm passing outright anyway. Alex?
Yeah, I'm going to be passing in this game, too. Pittsburgh's been finding offense without Sidney Crosby. Vancouver's been slowing down a little bit, even though you got Elias Pettersson, 29 points on the season, just one.
He's a superstar.
Not a superstar, though.
He is definitely a superstar, and more than likely going to be an all-star as well.
Yeah, he is an up-and-coming superstar, and you know what? He did one of the classiest things I've ever seen from an athlete a couple of weeks ago when he hit that guy in the head with the puck accidentally and literally just stopped playing to make sure that guy was okay. Columbus minus... Oh, Andrew, we do want your thoughts on that game, so go ahead, Andrew. Humor us.
I just like the over in this one at 6. You can get it at plus 105 still. And, like you said, Alex, obviously they don't have abundant of superstars. They do have some guys that are scoring. And Pittsburgh, throughout the year of their injuries, they've still been able to find a way to score and are also being involved in high-scoring games. So this one should be a really fast-paced game. And currently, both goaltending situations have looked a little bit iffy. So I'll go with the over 6 here at plus 105.
Just a quick reminder, everybody, no puck time tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving. I want to wish you all a wonderful day. Columbus minus 115 against Philadelphia. The total was 6. It's now 5.5. And I understand that. I still think this game is going to go under. Alex?
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, Columbus just can't find any offense as of late. But same thing with Philly. It just very inconsistent game. This is one I'm just going to completely stay away from.
Yeah, Andrew?
I like Philadelphia in this one. I don't trust Columbus. I don't like them offensively, and Philly's actually look pretty good these days, and they found a way to get the job done if it's high scoring or low scoring. So I take Philadelphia here at a pretty much even price.
Well, Columbus doesn't like you either. Washington and Florida. I love the over. I'm going to the window on this game. I'll be betting the over tonight. This Florida team is maybe the fastest paced flow of game out of any team in the league. And Washington can score anytime they want. 6.5 seems like a good number. I think this could go to 9.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've seen Washington only score 2 goals in the last 2 games. That's very uncharacteristic of them. This is probably a good time to play a team like Florida, like I said, match that pace and that tempo. The over has gone over in Florida. 12 of the last 15 games, rather, has gone over the total. So that's the only way I look at it here.
Andrew McInnis?
I want to take Florida plus 145 here to try and get the job done. They're 4-1 their last 5 against Washington. And if you're going to be a good team in the league, like we always talk about, you got to beat good teams. So let's see them kind of rise up here at a big plus price or decent plus price and get the job done against Washington. Both teams kind of struggling right now, both scoring very little goals in their past few games. So we'll see which offense breaks loose first.
Whenever you're struggling to find wins, always hope Malcolm Subban is in net. Well, here's Nashville at minus 135, playing a Vegas Golden Knights team that just is not playing good hockey, period. I think we have to ride this negative Vegas streak. I like Nashville in this spot, Alex.
Yeah, I like Nashville as well. If it's not Malcolm Subban, then it would be Garrett Sparks, as I mentioned, was called up from the Wolves earlier today. Marc-Andre Fleury flew home.
Well, I can tell you, as a Leaf fan, about Garrett Sparks, Nashville's the play. Sorry, continue.
Yes, I agree. Either way, Nashville is the play in regulation. Like I said, finally get some momentum, got back-to-back wins against St. Louis, and this is always a team worth backing at home. And this is a pretty cheap price, so even money line, but I like it even more regulation. Nashville should win this one.
Andrew?
Now, every single trend for the Vegas Golden Knights right now points towards an over against Western Conference teams, against Central Division teams, and the backup goaltender situation. Currently with the Golden Knights, screams over to me. And the Nashville Predators this year have turned into be an over team. They had a tiny bit of a lull where they were scoring, low scoring games and being involved in low scoring games, but they're right back at it now. 6-3, 7-2, the 5-3, they're right back at it. So, I feel like Vegas is going to score, but they're definitely going to get scored on as well.
Arizona hosting Anaheim, and I like Arizona here, minus 145. This team is just so pesky, and they match up very well against this Anaheim team. With that said, I just want to make mention, there's a guy on Anaheim,
Delorier.
He's got to be close to Connor McDavid in speed. I mean, this guy's got ridiculous speed. Okay, Arizona, one of my favorite plays on the board.
I'm with you with Arizona. Even though Anaheim has had the edge in the series, they've won 11 of the last 16 meetings. But Arizona's just one of those, like I said, pesky teams. Find a way to win. They haven't lost 2 games since going back to earlier in this month. They had that loss 4-3 against Edmonton. I think they bounced back here at home.
Andrew McInnis, you with us on Arizona?
I just have a total play in this game. I think this is a perfect example for the type of play I've spoken with you guys about. I spoke with you, Prez, I think a month ago about when it was Detroit and Ottawa. These teams aren't as bad as those teams, but they're teams that aren't respected by the odds makers or the league. Anaheim, Arizona, over 5.5. They're currently around minus 133 to the under. I think the money is still pouring in on the under. I like the over in this one. Both teams are scoring, at least being involved in higher scoring games. For the most part, or at least scoring themselves. And I feel like I said, when these type of teams clash, they come together. We'll see some goals, and it's only 6 we're asking. So, we get 3 goals each. Head to overtime, we're good to go. Or 4-2, we're laughing. So I like the over in this one.
Colorado against Edmonton. Edmonton, as I said at the beginning of the year, are going to be a good team, and they're 16-7 on the year, but tonight is not going to be their night. I like Colorado to win this game, minus 135. Alex?
Yeah, also, of course, the first period over. Colorado 19-4 in that mark, but don't sleep on Edmonton either. 9-1 the last 10 in the first period over as well. We should see a lot of goals here early and often. Also lean with the full game over as well.
Andrew?
Yeah, Edmonton's looked way better this year than the past couple of years, and a lot of that's coming down to their scoring. They've also been an over team this year, 6 of their last 8, 5 of their last 6 on the road versus Colorado. That's my play. Both these two teams, different stories, back-to-back losses for Colorado, back-to-back relatively decent wins for Edmonton. I'm just going to go ahead and look at the over here. I'm not really sure the performance I'm going to get out of Colorado. I'd like to predict a bounce back from them after that Toronto loss. But I'd rather predict a bounce back in favor of the over. I feel like if they're bouncing back here tonight, we'll get some goals from both teams. Lead me to take the over.
LA Kings plus 115 against the Islanders. The question is, does the Islanders start a new streak tonight, or did they start a new streak 2 nights ago? I actually lean on the Kings here, Alex.
I like the under in this one. I think we're going to see.
That's a great call.
Yeah, I mean, LA can't score. The Islanders trying to kind of right the ship after back-to-back losses. I would look at this first period and full game under. It's probably going to be a slow-paced game.
Andrew?
People in the comment section are always asking about best bets if we do that. We don't really do that usually, but I'll say it. This is one of my favorite plays on the board here tonight. I decided to stay off the Islanders in their last game against Anaheim, and they took that loss against San Jose. If you like unders with New York, I would keep betting them on this road trip as well, like you guys just talked about. But I think New York gets the job done here. Their players, for the first time this season, they sounded pretty upset. They sounded pretty pissed off. In the media reports and the articles that I was reading, it sounded like they were actually concerned about the start to that West Coast road trip. And what better of a team to kind of right your wrongs against than the LA Kings. Of course, the LA Kings sometimes can get up for an upset when they got an East Coast team visiting the West Coast. But 2 disappointing losses where they only scored 1 goal in those 2 games. This is a game where the Islanders kind of get up for it and certainly play a good defensive style of hockey as well. So I love this Islanders team. I'm completely shocked with the price that we're getting. You look at all the favorites on the board today, guys, and this team is 16-4-2, and they're minus 125 against the LA Kings. No more words for that.
Good,
honestly,
because this is the last minute of play, and you're only supposed to speak for about 10 seconds. San Jose minus 135 against Winnipeg. I really like the over in this game. 6.5 on board. I think this game is going to be a ton of goals scored. Alex?
I can't think of a more quieter win run or we've seen from San Jose. 9-1 the last 10, but it seems like no one's talking about them at all. Yeah, there are a lot of 1-goal wins, but hey, there's 2 points night after night after night. Playing a Winnipeg team, they got to win. Last game against a mediocre Columbus team. Before that, lost 5-3 to Dallas. I think San Jose is a pretty cheap price. I'm gonna go with the Sharks.
That's the show, boys. Everybody have yourselves a wonderful day tomorrow, an incredible weekend. Both Andrew and Alex will be back on Friday for Puck Time. I can't thank you all enough for watching the show, commenting, and stay tuned, guys. We have a lot more coming video-wise. We have a different graphic setup being prepared for next week. And we have more shows coming, so make sure to stay tuned, and please let your friends know about Wager Talk TV, the #1 sports betting content information channel in the world. Boys, it was a pleasure.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
See you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.